Hey guys, before the video starts today, I'm sorry for not uploading any videos really in a few months. I have been working on getting a better mic. I hope you can hear now that it sounds a lot better if you've seen my old videos. And I'm transitioning away from only Roblox content into doing other things I want to do. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoy the video, and goodbye. Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this video and watching through that short intro. Now it's time to get to the good stuff. So, as you guys know, this video is about Counter-Strike-2. It's a hard game. I'll be blunt. I played my first few matches after getting Steam to check it out, because I thought it'd be a fun idea for a video. For my first video back in a few months, I mean. And, it's fun. It's really fun. But it's also really, really hard. Right? So I loaded in, and with a few hours worth of videos on how to play the game under my belt, I thought I would be fine. I was not fine. As soon as I loaded in, I realized it was hard. Really hard. And repeatedly having my head blown off 30 seconds into every match does not sound like a lot of fun to you. It was kind of fun though. I learned so much from the few fights I made it through about aiming with all the guns like the M4A1S, the AK, the USP, the Desert Eagle, which the next segment is all about. And it was fun. We played a bunch of matches, and then we got off for the day, fully expecting my nuts to get crushed as hard, if not harder, than they did the day before. I watched some beginner guides so I could play competitive, or just the basic competitive 5v5, without dying instantly. And they all said the same thing as what I knew already: to stop moving. So I loaded back in, but this time, without my friends, I decided to go play Deathmatch. Deathmatch is a whole thing. It's typically considered to be a extra game mode, away from the main competitive 5v5 game modes, being competitive and Premier, I think it's called. So I loaded in and started messing around with all the guns. And as soon as the deagle landed in my hands, oh boy, did I feel like a god. I went around headshotting all those bots. I got a 27 kill streak. I'll be honest. We were playing Inferno, 27 kill streak with the deagle and the M4A1S only. And that was the starting point of my journey. That fully cemented them as probably my favorite guns in the game. And, oh boy, did I not make a bad choice. The M4A1S is god tier. Debatably, in my opinion, don't shoot me, it can be better, and it is better in a lot of scenarios, than the AK. I don't care what you guys say. The AK has way too much spread and way too much recoil. So that's why it gets its own segment of the video. Yeah, the M4A1S is way more beginner friendly, and anyone who decides to try the game, use that. Do not use the AK until you're very comfortable using that and want a challenge. The Deagle, though, is not beginner friendly at all. It's got the difficulty rating it does for a reason if you've gone to the equip screen. 4 stars, I'm pretty sure, is the difficulty. And, oh boy, is it hard. If you are moving with it, you're not hitting anything. But if you're stopping moving and firing whatever caliber it is, I forgot, out of the deagle into other people's heads, oh boy, is it rewarding. It also gives quite a good kill reward for how powerful it is, I'd say. I don't actually really remember, but I think it's 700 per. Or it's like 400. I don't really know. I don't really care. I'm playing the Deagle, right? So whenever we would get into another match, we would always be on the first round. You'd always have to save, and if you made it to the second half, you always have to save the first round because you're broke. And I don't like that. The Deagle does like that though. You buy the Deagle, yes, you're down $700, but if you can click some heads on whichever side you're on, it could be you're on the T side or the CT side. If you're clicking some heads, you're making your money back pretty fast if you don't die. Because holy cow, is it good. One click is all it takes. The final nail in the coffin to my journey using the Desert Eagle was when I got my first, and at the time of recording this audio, only ace against a clearly more experienced team on Dust 2 using only the Deagle, dude. Once that match was over, I decided I'm done using the Deagle for now. I've gotten good enough with how I am using it as of current, and I'm moving on to the AK. Transitioning to the AK was a big difference for a few reasons. Number one, you had even less error of movement if you want to use it correctly. You cannot move at all with it. With the Deagle, you can move a tiny bit, but with the AK, if you're moving, you're pretty much not hitting anything at all. To a way more extreme level than the Deagle. So it was hard to learn because I was used to being able to strafe a little bit if I needed to and still hopefully get some shots off on their head. So when I was not able to do that, it was immediately weird. Especially because of the continuous spray of the AK and the pattern. Even though it has a somewhat known pattern that's easy to control, I wasn't learning patterns. I didn't have time to do that while recording this video because I just didn't have time. So I couldn't really master it and was continuously having shots go all over when they should have been hitting the target. Now, with the AK, the trade-off for that is having, even when they're in full Kevlar and helmet, at full health, one click is all it takes. So I started trying to go for headshots with it, and oh boy, did it feel good. Once you start hitting those headshots, even though they can be some of the most mundane looking things ever, to a shitter like myself and probably many other people out there, they can feel like the most insane shots you've ever hit in CS2. For those of you who play a lot of CS2, you might be confused at how I'm this far into a video about trying CS2 and I have not mentioned the op once. Well, I'll be honest, I'll be blunt. I don't fuck with the op. It's not that I think I'm too good for it or that it's ineffective. It's neither of those things. I just don't like it. It's too expensive for ecoing. It's too just hard to use compared to stuff like the Deagle or the AK. Or I'd even rather, I'll be honest, actually no, I wouldn't rather use the Scar 20 than the op. That's sadistic. But I just don't like the op. So now we can transition out of weapons and into the maps. Maps are an interesting topic because there are many ways you can judge a singular map. There has to be at least 10. Like, is it more competitive, less competitive? Is it better for certain types of weapons? Does it have more interesting design? Does it have better bomb sites for CT side to defend or better bomb sites for T side to attack? Is it more favored towards the AK meta, or does it endorse people to only use shotguns? Like, if you're bringing a op to office, everyone's going to be confused, and some people might get genuinely mad that you're using an op on office. But if you're using an AK or a shotgun, nobody's gonna bat an eye. So Office can be graded by, do you like using the op or not? For me, I don't like the op because it feels too powerful in the hands of certain people on certain maps, or underpowered in the hands on other maps. So I like Office because you don't have to deal with the op. I also like Inferno because it has big open areas that favor the AK, but also areas that are smaller, so the op can't dominate everywhere, and the AK is more meta. Another one I love is Anubis. Anubis is like Mirage, and I just think the map design is great over there, with all those little areas you can go into. But with Mirage is an absolute classic, and there's nothing you can say against it that will make me be like, oh, it's bad. It's just a CS2 map, and it feels like it is a CS2 map, right? It gives the vibe of a CS2 map. But Vertigo, I'm going to complain about, because when you're playing Vertigo, you get stomped by people who only play Vertigo, and that makes me mad. So I don't like Vertigo. I don't like Train, because it's confusing, and I just don't like it. Eden and Basalt are weird, so they don't really fit the vibe of attack versus defend on CS2. And Overpass, I don't think I've really played Overpass. I think I've played one game of Overpass and just did not like it. But we can go on to Italy. I don't think I've played much Italy either, but I remember it's really good. Dust 2 is the classic CS2 map, or just CSGO or whatever, Counter-Strike map. It's the classic Counter-Strike map in general, right? And it's pretty good for that. It's not my favorite. I'd rather play Mirage or Nuke or Anubis or Inferno. So that's what I normally end up playing. But Dust 2 is really good because it's just the basic map and everything is balanced off it. Ancient is a little weird, but I still love it. And the only real bad thing every map can have is just not having enough cover or having too much cover, having an imbalance, right? That's why Inferno and Nuke and Mirage and Dust 2 are so good. There are so many places you can be that are easy to defend from, but also so many areas the attackers can come in from and attack and flank you and just eviscerate your defensive line if you're not being careful. Like, they can also just go to a second bomb site pretty easily. Let's say I see all of you guys are on B site. I see 5 people on B site on Dust 2, right? I tell my team, push this side, hold them here, confuse them, while I flank around with the bomb to A site. And then I've just penetrated all the way through, purely because you all stacked up on one area. But if not enough people stack up on one area, we can just steamroll you. So it's a very careful balance, and that's what makes maps good, in my opinion. When nothing is unbalanced, but nothing is overbalanced in a way. Like, that seems weird to say and kind of confusing, but if it's too easy, if it's too fair, it's also not great. Because guess what? I don't want to play a map where just because, like, that's what I'd say Vertigo is. Vertigo is too fair, especially to the defending side. Because it's, okay, attackers, most of the time, I'd say, have the advantage because they have the bomb. So even if you're camping out to wait out the timer, even if you're solo, we can just plant a bomb and then you have to come push us, right? But because of that, Vertigo seems balanced around the idea of just killing each other. And once it's balanced like that, it's really hard to undo or fix so it's more of a tactical thing instead of just holding a few angles that you know they're going to come from and then winning. That's why Vertigo is too balanced. It's too balanced for the attackers to have a fair fight, right? There's no real cover or ways to attack it easily or stealthily or whatever. You have to push these areas, which is quite fair, like I've said, but it's a little too fair. There's no real way to outtake an over-skilled team, right? If there's a smurf or a hacker, or really any, even if they're just better than you, there's no real way to claw back and regain the win. All other maps, right? Dust 2, for example, or Mirage, you can easily go flank and get the other way, outsmart them, out-map knowledge them, out-utility them. But on Vertigo, there's not really that same kind of feel at the lower levels of play. Maybe once I'm doing Premiere, I'll change my mind, but it's quite unlikely at this point. So, that's about all I have for this video. I've talked about weapons, maps. Oh, yeah, I forgot one crucial thing. The final factor to be ready to play Premiere when I purchase Prime is having a grasp of the utility. I don't mean clutch Molotovs or insane smokes these CSGO quarterbacks throw into the space and they just land where they want. I mean basic flashes, knowledge of how the Molotovs and smokes and stuff will throw and bounce, and how to use the decoy. I'm kidding. I have my decoy grenade bound to, I think, 9 is the key. Yeah. How to use high explosive. High explosive, I'd say, is the least useful, but it's still necessary to learn. So some of the basic things I was learning during this was, when I was practicing, was some basic Molotov spots I can put them in. Basic places I can throw the smoke from and have it land. Or how it will throw if I right click versus left click. How I will be able to peek and use my smokes effectively. When to flash. What areas people normally come through so we can block those off. Stuff like that, just basic stuff. I don't need to learn hyper combo lineups, I just need to learn the basics, right? So that's what we did. And it was fun. It was really fun coming up with some things we could mess around with. Sadly, this was before I started recording the video, so I'll have to just show you some stuff of me messing around on Nuke, probably. Yeah, that was probably the final factor before I decided, I'm ready to buy Prime. Thank you guys for watching through this almost 20-minute video where I just ramble with CS2 clips in the background. Hopefully soon I'll be making more videos of this quality, I'd say. It took me a while to make compared to all my other videos. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you. Part 2, where I buy Prime, will be out soon.